One fan base, one city, one team brings us all together. The Cleveland Browns. If you're a Browns fan, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns.
Go. Mr.
Watson.
What is up?
Yes, sir. Your boy is
What is up?
comfortable. Your boy is comfortable at 9-5. I'm in a snuggie. I'm on the recliner right now. I got the Christmas tree. I got the chestnuts roasting on an open fire. I'm comfortable at 9-5. Boys, how you feeling? Talk to me. You're 9-5 and we're not taking work shift.
Well done, Manny.
How we feeling?
Pretty great. At least I am. Surprisingly great.
Surprisingly great. Dave, what's up?
I'm about 2 levels less comfortable than you at 9-5 right now, but I am still comfortable nonetheless.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. KFC in the house, the host. How comfortable are we feeling at 9-5? You snuggie comfortable, or you just comfortable? Recliner, quick chair comfortable. What are you feeling?
I'd say
we'll answer in a second.
Yeah, I'd say he's feeling pretty comfortable too. Just to answer for him, he felt pretty confident today at the gym this afternoon. So
let's go.
I think he's ready to rock and roll as well.
Let's get it.
Big W. That was a scrappy dub. That's what that was.
Huge W versus the Chicago Bears. The final score was 20-17. Your Cleveland Browns did win in an extreme fashion, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who their breath was just taken away on that final play. Darnell Mooney, my goodness gracious, how did he not reel it in? I'm glad that he didn't reel it in. I don't need where were you guys? I need to right here, right now. I need to hear, where were you guys when this happened, when that catch was happening, what that ball bobbling around? What were your thoughts? Where were you at? What were your first thoughts?
Go ahead.
I thought he was going to catch it. I thought the game was over from there, knowing our luck that game was over, and we just had to stomach the most emotional comeback only to lose it, just like we lost it, I want to say 03-04 when we played the Bears, had a 21-7 lead with less than a minute to go, and still won the game. I thought we was going to have a part 2 of that, and somehow didn't. But I think Mooney didn't even really realize that he was going to catch the ball until it hit his foot. In that moment, I don't think he knew that, hey, I have a chance. If he knew that, then that game would have been over. But, yeah, luckily he didn't realize it. But that's how I feel. What about you, Dave?
Dude,
Dave,
let me tell you, it was in our seats. I was able to look down and see my family, my brother, and my nephew, and his girlfriend Allie and a friend of theirs in the dog pound watching the game. The play happened away from us on the complete other end zone. So what we saw from the backside is I saw Fields get free, and then I knew he was going to have enough time for there to be a conglomeration of players in the end zone. So he chucked that ball up. It looked like he threw it over the stadium. Yeah, how high he threw that ball, and all I could see was Darnell Mooney, his white jersey in front of about 12 Browns jerseys in the end zone. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they let this guy get the ball, and the ball got tipped down. It hit him dead in the chest, and all we saw was the ball pop up, and then everything disappeared for us until we saw the Browns player hop out of the end zone and kneel down on the one. But honestly, for legitimately 1.5 seconds, we thought the Browns lost that game.
Oh
my gosh.
100%. And I think that while Christian trying to get back in, I think that one of the things, and I apologize already, I am having some problems with my cheek here, with a little bit of cheek paralysis during the week, so it's hard for me to talk. But that's all good. We're gonna power through that. But honestly, you're going through this game. We knew heading in, if you guys were like most Browns fans, we were like, we have an opportunity to beat Chicago. It's not going to be one of the most important wins, but it's going to be one of those games that we got to win, right? I mean, we knew what we did to them last year. Myles Garrett went crazy, right? All this other stuff. And I was having a really busy week, so I really didn't think too much into this game heading into it. And I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really. I was watching the Saturday football games, right? The Bengals, they won. They're on a hot streak with Drake Frowning and all that. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they lost. That was fantastic to see. The Broncos lost as well, so that was fantastic to see as well. So I really wasn't too focused. I'm like, we're sitting pretty. I'm not going to care too much. And then I turned the game on, and man, oh man, we're going to go right through it. But again, it was play after play. Joe Flacco throwing 3 interceptions. We're going to dig into that. The defense was, they were letting up. Justin Fields did much better. Credit to Justin Fields. Also credit to that Chicago Bears defense as well. They're much better than what we thought they were. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball for this game. I want to start with you, Dave. What were some of the key things that kind of stand out to you? And the first question I really want to ask you is, how do I dissect the 3 interceptions from Joe Flacco? Were these, kind of miscommunications? What were your thoughts on the 3 interceptions from Joe Flacco? Or should we be worried?
You know what, Manny? Let me tell you, and I had the joy of sitting next to my son for that whole game, which was amazing that we got to see that W. But let me tell you, you could take those first 3 quarters and you could that is a tale of 2 different games right there. Because anybody who sat there and watched that on TV or in the stands when Joe Flacco was chucking the ball around, and those were bad interceptions. I think Joe would tell you, he would be the first one to tell you that those decisions on those throws were awful. That wasn't like a 50-50 ball that the defender made a great play on. He was legit hitting the defenders in the chest with tight spirals, giving up, 14 points for the Bears defense and so forth. It was a tale of 2 games. You could cut that game off in the third quarter, throw it all away, and watch Joe Flacco, Mr. Fourth Quarter. What he did, I think my son told me it was like 11 of 12 for 200 and some yards and some touchdowns. I mean, it was the tale of 2 games, Manny. It was 2 totally different games played Sunday.
Yeah.
Jake, what were you thinking? That's a great synopsis there, Dave. What were you thinking for those 3 interceptions? You worried or nothing?
I was worried, absolutely worried. And when it went 17-7, I thought we are cooked. We're done for. Flacco is just having a bad day. I wasn't mad at Flacco, but every quarterback does have a bad day, and I thought this was the bad game for him. And to tell you, he carried the offense on his back in the fourth quarter. And I will be honest, when we got the muffed punt, I thought we're going to punch this in the very next play.
Absolutely.
And truthfully, we should have.
Yeah,
The third interception was pure luck. If that guy had not been there at the perfect time, that was 6. Njoku was going to catch that. He was in perfect spot. The ball was in the perfect spot. And I thought, this is the end. It's game over. And the next thing you know, we adjust on both sides of the ball. We didn't give up. And Flacco did what we know he was capable of doing. Yes, Jake.
It seems crazy to think about that we actually walked away with that win, given everything that happened during the game, right? I mean, it was time after time where I was like, I almost actually turned it off after that interception where we, you know what I mean, like where we kind of had a situation where I'm like, all right, we're inside the 30. I mean, we have to score, right? We have to score. So I think it was, and then on the first play,
to turn it over.
Exactly. Yep. It was like, man,
your soul just whoop, there it went.
Right. It was like, okay, well, we clearly were not meant to win this football game, and so I don't know. I couldn't really gather and fathom what was going on. But KFC, welcome back. What were some of your thoughts on Joe Flacco? I want to hear if you're concerned about it. The 3 interceptions. Moving forward, anyway.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. You're sound great.
Oh, cool. I don't know how that happened, but there's fireworks behind me.
Yeah, way to go, Jake. Awesome. Little Monday night firework action.
Now there's 2 Christians, which is we're getting blessed with a Christian clone right now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, sorry, Wi-Fi freaking sucks. Got McDonald's Wi-Fi.
That's all good.
So
the boost
I know the topic was about Joe Flacco. Sorry about that. Right.
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the?
Talking
How
about
do you feel
Joe?
about the 3
Oh,
interceptions?
yeah, okay.
Yep.
Got you. He's trying to fit it in there in some top spots. I mean, he'd been balling last week, 3 tutties, 400 yards, or 300 and some yards. I mean, just balled out. So he's feeling a little confident going out there. So he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try to throw it in here. I'm gonna try to throw it in there. The Bears defense is legit. Got some elite linebackers, got some elite secondary talent, and got an elite front for it. Bears got a pretty good defense. So, I'm not really worried because I don't know, that last drive, like the last quarter, had 200 something yards, 212, I believe, and a touchdown pass to Amari Cooper for 50.
Can we talk about that pass to Cooper real quick?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you'll be hard. Sorry, KFC. If you want to keep going.
The most elite.
That pass was so threaded. There was absolutely that was the only place that ball was getting into Cooper's hands was where he threw it.
Also, the Marquise Goodwin catch was amazing too for 57 yards. That was a beauty and a half. So we're seeing Joe. I mean, Joe Flacco can throw the football now, right? You give him some time to throw the football, he can throw the football. And
he'll hurt you.
Are you finished, KFC? I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about those skill position players on offense as well. Because
my bad.
Go ahead. No. I was just saying.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. This thing's kind of laggy. The internet's absolutely atrocious.
I think it's you. Yeah, no, it's okay. I think it's you. I think it's the Wi-Fi for you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're all good.
But Joe Flacco throwing absolute piss missiles all over the field, back-to-back 300-yard games. Dude's a dog. He's the greatest Joe on turf.
Greatest Joe on turf is astronomically.
Little boy down the road ain't got nothing on Flacco.
Bro,
he got something on his hand. Might not be with us, but he got something on his hand that proves he is the greatest Joe on turf. Okay?
He got a little ring, got a little Super Bowl ring. But David Njoku, I mean, my goodness, we might have two 1,000-yard receivers.
Elite.
We might have two 1,000-yard receivers here in Cleveland, right? David Njoku is getting pretty close. 3 games left. He's about 290 yards out. Amari Cooper is only 15 yards out for 1,000 yards, baby. I mean, my goodness. Shout out to those guys. David Njoku, wow. Can you guys please talk about
Top
angry
5
runs?
Top 5.
Is that contract worth it now? I'm going to get out of my comfortable now. That contract was worth it. Can we talk about David Njoku, please? My goodness, because everyone talked about it. Why are we extending him this, the other? Other teams are like, man, oh, man, it's David Njoku. What has he even done? He is showing you right now how much he's worth. And they have a connection that I have not seen in a while. And Joe Flacco and David Njoku met each other, 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Yep.
I mean, my good, if that. Jake, what are you seeing out of David Njoku that just, these past couple games, it makes him so different? What can you speak on that connection for me?
I think we're finally seeing this guy's full potential for sure. The past few years, he's had good plays here and there. Like last year, he had the game-winning catch against the Bucs, and we thought, okay, this guy can be our franchise tight end, if you will. But now we're seeing more out of him than we have ever seen since he got drafted. And a lot of that is because of Joe Flacco. I hate to say it. If we had DTR at quarterback or PJ Walker right now, you would not be seeing this level of play from David Njoku. And Joe Flacco has been able to utilize the tight end. And, of course, that's with experience and skill and talent. So,
there's real world stuff. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Christian. Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I would just all I'm going to say is there's a human aspect to playing in the NFL, and here's what that boils down to. Those receivers are human beings. Yes, they're paid to play, and they should be playing and giving 100% on every play. But is that reality? It's not. It isn't. And when there's a quarterback on that team that's taking the ball, and they know that there's a very slim chance that they're going to be able to get the ball on the route they're running, sometimes they go ahead and they mail it in. And they dog it out a little bit. That's the Joe Flacco factor. Isn't just how cool he is and how he's made these throws, but he gets all these other receivers. They are running hard and hard cutting on every route because they know he can get the ball to them at any moment at 1,000 miles per hour. That's a laser beam. So that makes them focus even harder. So those receivers, when you watch it at the stadium and you can see a pretty big view of what's going on, there's no lollygag routes. There's no somebody that where the primary receiver is going to be the routes on the left. Sometimes you'd see the OBJs and the rest of them. I mean, they take 2 steps and just stop. You know what I mean? You can see that when you're at the stadium. But with Joe Flacco, every route is being run by a receiver crisply and with purpose, because they know they might get the ball because he can go through 2 or 3 reads and zip the ball in there. So,
yeah,
100%. And that's something that I'm seeing. So, like, not that it's different, but it is the command of those routes and the established relationship that he's having is something astronomical. Like, I don't know if we've seen something so close, right? People are even calling for a potential comeback player of the year award, along with the, Russell Wilson, DeMar Hamlin, and even Baker Mayfield getting some shout outs for them. Is it me or does Kevin Spence kind of look at that? That is very true. I totally agree. That's very cool. I think that what I'm seeing so much so as well is that connection with Elijah Moore. Obviously, we know it's from New York. With the Jerome Ford kind of having that shoulder problem, he came back later in the game. We got to get some consistency in the running game as well. Wasn't a great running.
30 yards. 30 yards.
I mean, but again, what are you going to do when all of your offensive linemen are practically out? You're stuck with Wyatt Teller, as your only starter. So it's kind of like, moving forward, I want to commend Callahan as well. He's a great offensive coach, but as we're wrapping up the offensive side of the ball here, how are we feeling a little bit about that offensive line moving forward? Can they get us through the stretch at least to get us to a playoff game? I think as Browns fans, that's probably the goal, right? I mean, I ordered the bench.
Have they released how hurt Batonio is?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any updates on that from anybody on the stream on the Twitter in the Twitter world and any released official report. So, but we can look at it.
Sorry,
I don't like how he was walking off okay, and then he needed help at the back half of his walk off the field.
Yeah,
that wasn't good.
But sorry to interrupt you guys, but we do have not only just an electrifying quarterback, but we do have an electrifying guest here with us. It is Roger.
Look at that! What a drop in, dude!
Oh, what's going on, guys? Thank you for having me. I'm sitting here. I'm writing down notes because you got. I'm here. I'm taking notes. Listening to the Browns talk. I'm taking notes for my show, so I sound like I know what I'm doing. What I'm talking about. So you busted me. Man, thanks for having me. Manny, you look like you're in a Snuggie. Is that official? Down with the. I love that thing, man. That looks. I'm in the basement. You look snug, man. That looks good.
Oh yeah. I'm comfortable at 9-5 right now. 9-5, better record than the 4 seed in the AFC. So I'm comfortable. I'm in my Snuggie. I got my little recliner, Roger. I'm feeling good. Shout out to the dog chug, baby. Y'all pay attention. Y'all tune in.
Yeah, go check out the dog chug.
Yeah, check out Raj and the dog chug tonight later.
But going into that defensive side of the ball, like you were talking about, Manny, there was one man who really stole the show to me, and that man goes by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
The new
6 tackles.
The new 6.
6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, 2 tackles for a loss.
Yep.
He was flying. He was flying around the field.
Iris Alba, is that his name? He looks like him.
Dude's
a bad A. Don't matter. He's lining up at the linebacker position. He's a bad man.
Bad man. I mean, you're talking about. There's so many dogs on that defense that were doing their thing. Martin Emerson getting involved, Dalvin Thomason getting involved. But when I'm talking to you about Jeremiah JOK, he is so insane this year, and he's thriving. He's another one that's thriving under this Jim Schwartz defense. Yeah, I mean, he really is showing out because we saw a little bit of a dip, right, in last year's production because he had such a miraculous rookie season. So we expected a lot out of him, right? But again, everybody kind of took a dip with that Joe Woods defense. But man, oh man,
yeah,
we
they
gotta
are.
talk about JOK. But also, side note before we go on, and I hear Rogers, what he likes about JOK and that defense, the holding on Myles Garrett has got to stop. We're going to talk about that.
It's ridiculous.
It has got to stop. But we'll talk about that in a topic in a very, very quick second. Raj, what did you see on that defensive line of the football?
I said before the game, one of the keys of the game would be that they played Justin Fields just like they did Lamar Jackson with Koromoa. And at that point, it was Delpit that was shadowing.
Yep.
And the both were keying on him. And that's exactly what they did. This wasn't just this week. He should absolutely be consideration for an All-Pro. Be an All-Pro. He is all over the field. It's like the defense is built around him to scheme. And it took a good coach to unlock it. And I have a theory, and it's the number change too. He played like a cornerback wearing that number he had last year.
Yeah, 28 didn't work for him.
And now you put him back in his college number. He's running around South Bend causing havoc, and that's what he's doing, man. And you know what it is? A big help is the tackles. You got to give credit to defensive tackles, keeping people off of him.
You sure do.
And he's keeping the offensive guards off of him, our defensive tackles. So the scheme, I think that's really the heart and soul of our scheme is our DT, our defensive line, keeping them linebackers free. Taki when Walker was, and Koromoa, who definitely should be an All-Pro, and he's definitely gonna be a Pro Bowler.
Thanks.
Yep, agreed.
100%. I think I do want to switch gears quickly to the Myles Garrett. Unless you guys want to say something about JOK as well. Why do you guys think that these calls on Myles Garrett holding, they've been horrible these past couple of games? And I'm sorry, Jake. What is the remedy for it? Why is this the causation that we're seeing right now?
As far as the remedy, I can't give you an answer. But as far as the reason, these officials know if the linemen don't hold Garrett almost every other time, he's going to get sack after sack after sack. And they either have to double team him or hold him, knowing that he won't be able to get to the quarterback. And the officials can't call holding it every single time. Otherwise, it would have been 1st and 50 at the Chicago 5-yard line.
Yeah.
That would have been great to see.
100%. Well,
I got a theory on it.
Oh, go ahead, Casey.
So, it's kind of like how LeBron in the NBA, how he's just so much stronger than everybody.
Yeah.
And he just goes up and people make contact with him. And it doesn't look like a foul because he's so strong he can absorb that hit. He just takes it up and then he has to cry about it and get the call sometimes. I think it goes into that same thing. Myles Garrett's just so much stronger than everybody. He can just blow by him. And like you said, Jake, the officials are like, okay, this is the only way to kind of contain him. Just let him kind of play a little physical with him. But where he's so much stronger and so much quicker than everybody, they have to, or he'll just blow right by him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I think, and speaking to that point, Tom Brady kind of touched on a couple of things in the comments today, because obviously Demonte Casey, for cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, suspended for the rest of the season with that blow. Michael Pittman Jr. in the Colts game versus Pitt. And Tom Brady kind of went off talking about, this is what he's talking about not being able to be a quarterback in the NFL at a higher level just because it's so easy because you throw the ball up and get defensive, defense or unnecessary roughness and things like that. Defenses can't be defenses anymore. I think the way you kind of remedy that, right, is to, make those calls then. If you're allowing calling offensive holding and things like that and allowing Myles Garrett to get back there and create more sacks or disrupt the pass, you don't get so much time to throw the football. If you're going to call unnecessary roughness on everything and not let the defenses play, at least let the defensive line create some havoc. At least really be aware of some of those offensive holding calls so you can make it somewhat easier for defense and reward some of these defensive players who are spending their whole offseason trying to get better. It's like Myles has to do 2-3 times the work to get a sack, and it's insane. It's not fair. So Dave, what do you think about? What do you kind of think about what would Miles have to do if you're Myles Garrett? What do you do to try to get that attention? And Raj, I'll kind of ask you the same question as well. What can Myles Garrett do in this situation?
I can tell you personally, I saw him walk up to the officials twice while I was watching the game. Might not have been on TV, but I can tell you two times when it happened, he beelined right to the official to go ahead and say, hey, listen, it's happening and you need to keep your eye on him. And it still didn't work. So I don't know. Honestly, there's so many theories on it right now because there's 4 very specific plays where you could literally see the official in the TV view of the infraction happening and they not throw the flag. And I don't know what's going on, but the theory of LeBron makes about as much sense to me as any of them for sure. Like they're just kind of letting it happen.
And if you're Jim Schwartz, you're in a pickle because it's not even like, all right, well, if you slide some people over with Miles to get him more in a one-on-one situation, it throws your game plan off because you're only doing that so that he doesn't get held. And so it's unfortunate, but whatever. But Raj, what do you think if you're Myles Garrett? What do you kind of do to kind of get out of that situation, skip getting held?
Well, first I'm getting some Earl Campbell tearaway jerseys. And then the defensive linemen are standing there holding my jersey.
Damn,
and
that's awesome.
You know, they're man, you guys covered it. He's elite. He's so fast. I do believe that his repertoire or his moves or some of the things that he does to get free is limited because of the injury. Since his injury, it's just he hasn't slowed down. It's just that he's just a little different. Look at where we're at in the season. I mean, he gets his ass kicked every Sunday. 3 people on him. You got a running back chipping him while you got a guard and a center hitting him. A tackle and a center hitting him.
Yep. Every play.
He could just try to play through it. I think they tried to send Myles Garrett a message. They didn't throw one flag.
Yeah.
Not one holding call the whole game. I think that's the officials with the commissioner at the game. I think that what really needs to happen is that there needs to be some sort of reform with the referees and the officiating in the NFL, and they need to be held accountable. Each and every game, each and every crew. They too should be held accountable. It doesn't look like they are, and I think it's because they really don't affect the pocketbooks. They're not affecting the money. We're still going to watch. If it starts affecting, viewership and money, and that's when the NFL will do something about it. Really, there's no such thing as a bad click. Whether we love the officials or hate them, we're going to talk about them. They're clicked. It's talk, and it's in the news and it's up front. And, there's no such thing as a bad click. Look at Reuter. He makes a living.
He makes a living off of it. He makes a living off of it.
So,
I could not agree more with you, Roger. I think you've hit it right on the head. I do want to spotlight a player on this football team that a lot of people will agree is the best in the NFL at their position, right? And we just acquired him in the offseason. Kicker Dustin Hopkins. I feel like every single week, I feel like we're talking about how much we love him and how important it is to have a reliable kicker in the NFL. And he is 2 for 2 now, last game, right? With a go-ahead field goal. I mean, it felt so good. Can you guys talk about how good it felt? Or what were you feeling, the confidence level of just having to get into field goal range? And that was it. You knew it was going in.
Yeah.
Dave, can you talk to me about that? And then Jake, go ahead.
Absolutely. And and it was nasty weather, and the wind in those corners was whipping through there. You saw the Bears even chose not to kick a field goal going the other way. It was nasty, but Dustin is absolutely ice in his veins on those kicks. Somehow he goes ahead and he finds that laser focus and he just makes it happen. I think really, Manny, you're comfortable at 9-5, and I am too. But I think without Dustin Hopkins, we're sitting here and we're talking about a 6-8 Browns team.
Talk about it.
Absolutely.
Jake, what do you think?
Honestly, by the time we got into field goal range and the game was about to end with Dustin Hopkins, I didn't feel a bit nervous. I knew he was going to make it because he's already done so much more. How many times last year should we have had that feeling and would have won so many other games with Cade York? But we went for it at the craziest spots because we had no faith in Cade York. We went 7-10 last year, could have possibly went 10-7 if you had a guy like Dustin Hopkins last year. But by the time it was fourth down, Dustin Hopkins walking onto the field, I had no nervousness whatsoever. And I was even to the point, if he were to somehow make it, I was not going to be frustrated with him based on everything else he's already done as a Cleveland Brown. Yep. Especially at that moment, in a game that we were not supposed to win.
Not even
and
close.
He won it for us once again.
Hey, Jake, can I ask you a question?
Go right ahead.
Dustin Hopkins is on a 1-year deal. What do you re-sign Dustin Hopkins for?
Wow. What a question. Wow.
That is a tough one.
Whoa, that's a tough one.
We all agree we definitely sign his butt right now, right?
We have to.
Okay.
With everything he's done, we have to.
Yeah.
Can someone look up what Justin Tucker is making? Or because Evan McPherson's on a rookie deal, obviously. But I would say, as you guys are looking it up, I would say you would probably have to give him some kind of Justin Tucker-esque money, right, Raj? I mean, a lot of teams need a kicker. I mean, a lot of people are going to need a kicker. I think you have Raj. Would you sign him before the season is over?
Oh, I absolutely try to extend him and sign him before the season's over. Look what we went through. You know, one thing at Cleveland, the kicker, either if we haven't had one since Phil, since Dawson kicked there, or they're bad. Because we had a lot of in-between guys that I can't name maybe 3 out of 10 of them. Just journeymen coming through. We definitely would be 6-8 if we had Cade York still. We might be, 7-7 or something if we had some 100%. Other veteran. But we got a guy that just took to kicking in Cleveland in that stadium. I heard an interview and he was talking about the Dawson flag, about the flag that Dawson had up at the open end of the stadium for the win, and how
it's not there anymore, Raj.
Because he talked to Phil Dawson. Pardon?
I think they took it down. I look up in that corner and I have yet to find that little flag.
Apparently he talked to Phil Dawson, mentioned it to him, or he talked about it. So
that's the one Phil used to read the win.
Right. To see where the win was coming. But if he looks comfortable kicking in Cleveland, then you sign him as fast as you can.
I have Tucker's contract. You want to hear it?
What's that looking like? What's Tucker's
contract? So Tucker signed a 4-year, $24 million contract with the Ravens that included a $5.5 million signing bonus and $17.5 million guaranteed for an average annual salary of $6 million.
So we're talking 4-year, $24 million. So 4-year, $24 million, I think is a little high just because Justin Tucker was so consistent for so long.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about kicking in Cleveland next to the lake, I think I would go with 3-year, $15 million. See if he would take that. I mean, you have to extend him, but obviously not for that much money. I didn't know Justin Tucker was taking that much money as a kicker. But, I mean, he looks very comfortable, and you have to reward that. You must reward that.
Right.
There has been so many times where I think the psychological aspect of the special teams has changed, where it's like it's no longer almost like a coin toss. Hey, maybe we should go for a touchdown rather than a field goal here because we don't know if we're going to make the field goal. It's like, do we want to go for a touchdown or just take 3 points?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Almost guaranteed 3.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and we've seen it time after time after time this season where we would just take them 3 points, which I love, and it came in handy. You're being able to do that. So before we highlight the Texans game, moving on to this week, obviously it's huge. I got to talk about some spiciness, and we're going to talk about our place in the AFC because I know, Jake, you have I have the nice playoff picture. I got to talk about some spiciness. It's been on the timeline. It happens every single time our ex-quarterback has a great game in Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, perfect passer rating, 158, was 22 for 28, 350 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He was playing Madden out there. But every time he has a good game, it seems like we have fans, we have media. Oh, man, the Browns shouldn't have let Baker Mayfield go. Don't you see him? Don't you see him in Tampa Bay? That's what happens. I need to hear from you guys. Would we have had a better season this year? Flat out, we haven't even talked about it because I don't like talking about the past. Would we be 9-5 and 5th in the AFC with Baker Mayfield under center the full season? Given all the injuries and everything, would we be 9-5? Dave, you can go first, Jake, and then we'll go Raj. I need to hear from everybody.
I think probably, man. I mean, we had some really bad quarterback play. Everybody forgets, kind of in the sweet spot of our schedule this year. Mm-hmm. I think probably is my answer.
Mm-hmm. Jake, go ahead. What do you think?
Honestly, I feel like it's. I don't want to say it's an unfair question. It's very hard to say how many games earlier in the season that that we won that we could have lost. How many games that we lost we could have won? Who was to say Baker wouldn't have went down with another injury week 2, week 3, week 4? It's so hard to say, especially with all the other injuries. Who's to say that Baker would not be on that injured list? And congratulations to what he's doing in Tampa Bay. But it seems like it's a never-ending cycle with he has an excellent game where he plays perfect.
Yep.
And then the next game, he just kind of falls off a little bit. And then the game after, he does the same thing and just lights it up. He did that in Cleveland. He had spurts of that in Carolina. He did that in Los Angeles. And we're sort of seeing it in Tampa Bay. Let's not forget, the Bucs are still just 7-7 in the NFC South, the easiest division.
That's true.
We are the only division where no one has a losing record. So who's to say, that he would be doing the same thing against tougher opponents? So
that's a very good point. And who's to say that maybe having this carousel under center isn't helping a little bit? I know Deshaun Watson's 5-1, TJ Walker was 1-1, DTR was 1-2 with their records, and now Joe Flacco's 2-1. Maybe that kind of carousel a little bit helps. You never know. But Raj, what do you think about this whole? I know it's annoying to talk about, but man, oh man, it keeps popping up. You know it is, Raj. Would Baker Mayfield be better off here? Would we have a better record of Baker Mayfield?
You know what? Jake touched on it. I think here's Baker Mayfield. December 24th, 2021, Green Bay, Wisconsin. He throws 4 picks. He loses the game that 52 other guys are trying to win. And we lose 24-22 to a 12-5 Green Bay team. Where everybody on that team tried to win that football game, but Baker was being Baker with the smug look, his attitude, and his just, I don't give a crap about anything or anybody but Baker Mayfield. And then yesterday he goes into Green Bay. Yesterday he goes into the same damn place and he breaks records or whatever he did in Green Bay. And that's what you're always going to get from Baker Mayfield. He could be 9-5 or we could be 5-9 with Baker Mayfield right now. Flip a coin. Who knows? Did he wake up and feel dangerous?
Yeah.
Does he have a chip on his shoulder? Or is he going to be a professional quarterback today? Nobody knows. I wish him luck. I wish you'd stop the talk.
Absolutely.
I wish him luck. Good luck to you. But I was done with him after that Green because, I'll tell you what, nobody's a bigger Baker bro than me because I painted myself in a corner when he planted a flag in Columbus. With every Browns fan, because then I said draft him number 1 because the Buckeye Browns fan wanted nothing to do with them before that draft. Yeah. And I was all about Baker Mayfield coming to Cleveland as the number 1 overall. So I really had to back him, and I hung in there for a long time with him. And so I just said, I can't do this no more. I can't, keep backing this guy. He's never going to change.
No, he lost all of our trust. Absolutely.
So I wish him luck. I'm glad he's doing what he's doing in a bad division in NFC. And good luck, Baker. And I'm a Flacco wacko right now. So that's my
Flacco
QB.
Flock.
That's my QB1.
Flock. We're Flacco Flock right now. Well, you guys analyze that beautifully. I echo everything you're saying. I am such a huge Baker. I hope he does well. But it seems every single time that he does well, though, it comes back on the Cleveland Browns for some weird reason. Everyone does it all the time. It's very tiring, and I feel we would be remiss to not address that a little bit. But looking forward, obviously, we have a huge game this week. This game this week looks it looks amazing. It looks very important. Dave, you talked about this pre-show. Browns at Houston Texans at 1 p.m. On Christmas Eve. The Texans, they're favored by just a little bit. It's that C.J. Stroud effect. They have no Tank Dell. Nico Collins is back. They're out Titus Howard, an offensive lineman. What do you guys look at? We're indoors, no nasty weather. It's in Houston. Are we looking a little better with the passing game? What are your overall sentiments about this? And then we're kind of get into the importance of this game when it comes to the playoff picture in a second, Jake. So I just want an overall view, and then we'll get into the importance of this game. We'll go Jake first.
Oh, me first. So I thought you meant Dave first. I apologize. Honestly, as far as the Houston game goes, it's really hard to tell right now with the uncertainties of this week. As far as Batonio, we don't know what he's going to be doing. We don't know what Zadarius Smith is going to be doing yet. And of course, with all the other injuries that we currently have. Also, on the other side, we don't know what C.J. Stroud is going to do. And I feel like he is the majority of this offense. If C.J. Stroud was not a member of this team or the Texans team, I don't know that they would have a winning record right now. So if you don't have him, it's a completely different game. They barely squeezed by the Titans yesterday, I apologize, without him. And they're going to be playing a much tougher defense this upcoming Sunday. So with Case Keenum, I'm not sure as to if you would have, or if a Texans fan would have faith in their offense. It could be very low scoring, or Joe Flacco could just light it up and we just obliterate them. But with C.J. Stroud, that's going to be an entirely different game. I feel like you got to give him Offensive Rookie of the Year, even if the concussion protocol has him out the rest of the season. He should win that award. But that is all I feel as far as the Texans. Do you want to go in the playoff?
Let's hope it at least has him out one more game.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to hear really quickly, because I'll let you get that playoff picture set up really quickly, and then while you're doing that, Raj, I want to hear kind of overview before we get into specifics about this game. What's your outlook on the Texans game, and what's kind of a key importance here, and then we'll go Dave, and then Jake will give us the playoff picture.
Okay.
Well, with Case Keenum, and again, you said it. Nobody knows if their quarterback's going to come out of concussion protocol. Boy, because it's a whole different ball game with C.J. Stroud.
Right.
But with Case Keenum, we have a head coach that knows Case Keenum and knows everything about him and every aspect of his game.
I did not think about
every
that
aspect.
at all.
And when Kevin Stefanski has your number, because I believe he has Aaron Rodgers' number too, playing against him in a division like he did. Also with the Chicago Bears, I just think he knows how those organizations function, being with the Minnesota Vikings for as long as he did, and he knows Case Keenum. Kevin Stefanski, man, he's on fire right now. He has. You know what? You don't go into a football game and every week you're next man up, where you're 5 deep on your roster, on your depth chart, without having a culture and a foundation in place. Because without a culture and foundation, we've went through years and years of how those games, that Hail Mary is caught for a touchdown. You know what I mean? That San Francisco field goal isn't pushed right. You know what I mean? When you and when you're losing guy after guy after guy, it's going down, and you're plugging in. You know what you're doing? You're doing what the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the old New England Patriots did week in and week out as next man up. And a guy gets too pricey, well, we got another guy's going to go right in, and we're not going to miss a beat. And that's kind of how this has a feeling that we finally have a culture. We have a foundation. And Kevin Stefanski. So with this game, I have more positivity and good feeling about this game. The Case Keenum and the quarterback situation just jacks it up more, where I got the Browns winning by 2 scores.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, Christian. You're trying to get in contact with us. You can text Jake because I'm on my phone. or Dave. But what you want to say something quick, Jake?
Oh, well, before we get in the playoff picture, I was going to add one more thought of the Texans game. And I would definitely agree with Roger, but don't forget, our defense seems to just not click during the away games this year. At home, our Browns defense averages or allows an average of, let me pull it up right quick, 197.8 total yards, 110.5 passing yards, 87.38 rushing yards, and 13 points per game at home. At home. On the road, we have allowed 30.7 points average, 345.3 total yards, 223.3 passing yards, and 122 rushing yards per game. The team that has scored the least amount of points on our defense when we are on the road was the Seattle Seahawks when they put up 24. Every other team has put up more on the road.
Yep, and I think
what is with that? Go ahead, yeah.
And it's real. What he said is real. So I mean, that is a tale of two completely different defenses. But here's what I think the matchup is going to be. You know, when your best receiver out there is Noah Brown, you know, I think with us having our 3 stud cornerbacks healthy, I don't really think it's going to matter if CJ plays or not. I still feel really confident about this win. Just because, number one, it's a must win. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I am treating this week right here as like our mild playoff. This is our first playoff game right here. Wow. This is a must win. Yeah. You know, you want to start separating yourself from some of these mediocre teams. But I think with our 3 corners healthy, they don't have 3 receivers to match up well. Nobody's going to get open. Whether CJ's the quarterback or not, those windows are going to be really small. I don't think Joe Flacco is going to throw 3 horrible interceptions this game. And if he doesn't throw 2 of those interceptions in that Bears game, that's a whole different story, that game.
Right.
You know, I think we might win by 10. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I think the matchup for the Browns as well, Devin Singletary is not going to go for 126 yards against us. And that's going to be really their only chance as far as I'm concerned. CJ gives them a much better chance to win, but I don't really think it matters who's at quarterback for them. Our corner should shut them down.
I think the Houston Texans and DeMeco Ryans, they might wait as long as they possibly can, legally can, to reveal who's gonna be the quarterback. Because again, like Raj said, I totally did not even think about it. We had Case Keenum, and Kevin Stefanski had Case Keenum for 2 teams, on 2 teams, Minnesota and Cleveland. So he knows Case Keenum pretty well.
He knows Case Keenum extremely well.
Extremely well. So it's like he's going to be
all his little shortcomings. He knows them.
Every single one of them. So I think that it's very important to understand that. And I think DeMeco Ryans, as a defensive-minded coach, also understands that as well. He's probably going to be like, you know what, I'm going to wait to the last second until we can release who's going to be the starting quarterback. And so don't be surprised if we don't know until later in the week, you know, who's going to be the starter under center for that game. But
you see what the Browns did. We run it right up until game time before we announced. You know what I mean? When we had a concussion protocol.
DTR didn't even know. So, but again, like Jake said, before we go into the playoff picture and how important this is going to be, Texans, you know, the last 5 games haven't been extremely impressive. We're talking about the overtime win versus the Titans. You know, they got blown out by the Jets without C.J. Stroud, 30-6, if you guys remember that. Denver was 24-17. They did beat Denver, but they lost to Jacksonville, you know, up and down Jacksonville team. And they beat Arizona 21-16. So they haven't really played a lot of competition over the past 5 games. This is going to be probably the hardest game that they've played in the last 5 weeks when you're just looking at straight roster. But again, Jake, take it away. Let us know what we're looking at AFC-wise and how important this game is going to be.
So a lot of you guys that are watching this podcast, a lot of fans are probably talking about the road to the playoffs. And I was going to have a graphic that Christian had made for me, but as you can see, I'm on my phone, so I won't be able to pull that up. So I'll just call them off to you. As it stands right now, your top 7, if the playoffs started this weekend, the Ravens would have the number 1 overall seed. Dolphins would have the 2, Chiefs 3, and Jaguars would have the 4. Those are your 4 current division winners. As it stands right now, we are in the number 5 spot. As Manny had already said, right now 6 and 7 go to the Bengals and the Colts, both with 8 and 6 records. Your current 2 teams on the outside looking in are the Texans at 8 and the Bills at 9. That's what makes Sunday's game a little more important. The fact that the Texans are doing everything they can to get back into the top 7. So right now, as it stands, to make the playoffs, we have an 88.9% chance, according to ESPN FPI. We also have a 56% chance to make the number 5 seed. Believe it or not that it's a must win. A win alone this Sunday puts us at over 99%.
No way.
Yes. A win this Sunday against the Houston Texans puts us at over 99%.
Man.
So, just in case, now, of course, we control our own destiny, and that's what matters the most is what we do. But if you are a fan that likes to root against other teams to give us the space, as many likes to call it, and I like to call it as well, this Saturday, and this is the gloomy part, we probably need to root for Pittsburgh over Cincy. Steelers play the Bengals this Saturday at 4:30 on NBC. Not something I really do it for the sake of our playoff chances. If somehow we have a bad game against Houston, which we are kind of due a really, really bad game, and I hope that never happens. But Steelers, that's a team we're going to have to root for, sadly, this Saturday. Also, this Saturday, the Bills play the Chargers. Root for the Chargers.
Bills are hot, yeah.
Yeah, but the Bills are really hot. I don't know that the Chargers will win that game because right now they don't have Justin Herbert. I'd say the Bills will easily win, but if you're hopeful like me, any given Sunday, root for the Chargers. As far as the Sunday games, the Falcons play the Colts at Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to try to make a statement. They've got a lot of players that are playing for the job, including the coach, a few others. I think, who was it, Arthur Smith, that apparently had a bad day. And a lot of people are surprised that he's still a member of the team to this very day. Patriots and Broncos play the Christmas Eve game on NFL Network. You want to root for the Patriots. And, I mean, they had a decent little bout against the Chiefs, even though they didn't win. You could tell they were trying their best.
That defense is serious. Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows what happened against them. Yeah, that's true. You know, who knows. And then if you're hopeful, believe it or not, the Cleveland Browns have a 2% chance, of winning the AFC North. Believe it or not.
Wow.
And if we were to win our game against Houston, the Ravens on Monday Night Football play the San Francisco 49ers at San Francisco. So if we win our game and the Ravens lose, we've got a lot to talk about. Also, if the Ravens do lose 2 out of the next 3 and we win out, we win the division. But
what's their last 3 games, Jake? You know?
The last 3 games, I know they've got the 49ers and the Dolphins and the Steelers. I think that's in that exact order. They got the 49ers this weekend, the Dolphins the week after, and then the Steelers. Now, of course,
it's not only possible that they could go 1-2. It's probably more likely than not that they might go 1-2 those last 3 games.
100%. Well, Miami, they've always beaten Miami recently. In recent history, they've beat Miami close games, and I think Miami really wants to get their lick back first. Then, so they're going to be fighting pretty hard.
Yeah. And if the Ravens do lose to the 49ers, they're going to do everything to pull off a statement win against the Dolphins to try and get that number 1 seed in the AFC. Absolutely. So that whoever wins that game ultimately gets the number 1 seed. And the Ravens feel like they can win it. And the Dolphins, of course, they are usually, of course, they lost to the Titans recently, but Dolphins are pretty dominant at home. And they feel like if they have home field advantage, they basically have a free path to the Super Bowl because it's very, very, very hard to win in Miami some way, somehow. If you look at the rest of the teams that are looking in, you got the Bengals at the 6, the Colts at the 7, the Texans at the 8, and the Bills at the 9. The Bengals play the Steelers, of course, this Saturday. Week 17, they've got to play the Chiefs, and I want to say it's at Kansas City. And Kansas City is still fighting for the AFC West. So I'm not a betting man. Christian would probably be proud of me for saying this. I've got my imaginary money on the Kansas City Chiefs for Week 17. And then, of course, they've got us at Paycor Stadium the last game of the season. The Colts, this is an interesting fact. If we can win both of the next 2 games, we are basically guaranteed a spot, even if we lose to the Bengals. I'm sorry, because the Colts play the Texans Week 18.
Okay.
And the Bills play the Dolphins Week 18, the last week of the season, because the Dolphins will also still be fighting for that number 1 seed, and I don't think they will have that clinched at Week 18. So they're going to be playing it like it's a playoff game as well. And the Dolphins will clearly have the edge with the way they've been playing over the Bills. So if we win both of the next 2 games, we've got the Texans, of course, as we've already said. Then we've got the Jets, who have already been eliminated from playoff contention. I don't see Aaron Rodgers playing in the Jets game.
I do not believe. I think it would be extremely foolish, and I'm not saying this selfishly. It would be extremely foolish for the Jets to trot Aaron Rodgers out there to sell some.
No way. There's zero.
You know what I mean? In a situation, I don't think that they should do that, because if anything happens again to him early, that sets everything back. Back. I would just, listen. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I would play him the last week of the season, maybe, to get some reps. But as we wrap up here, I do want to have one last question, just for all of you. A lot of fans I want to poll just the fans right now. If you're listening or watching, tuning in, wherever you're watching, Instagram, we're now on Instagram, we're now on, obviously, we've been on Twitter. I want to know, what is a good season? What is a good season for the Browns right now? Because the way I'm feeling, a playoff berth would be great. I don't really care what happens. Just getting to the playoffs with this battered team, with this, 4 different quarterbacks would be great. Dave, what would be a good season for you? Obviously Super Bowl, but Dave, Raj, and then Jake, what would be a good season for us?
I mean, if you get into the playoffs, you give yourself a chance to do something special. Is it probable that they could make a run in the playoffs? No, it's just way too many injuries, I think. But getting into the playoffs and then getting a little bit of excitement, I think, would be a good enough season for me.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. And Joe Flacco has the most away games wins in the NFL, so in NFL history. So he can definitely win a win game. Tied with Tom Brady with 7. Raj, what do you think? What's a good season for your Cleveland Browns?
Wow. I set the bar high at the beginning of the year. I said that they needed to win a division. They've been building this roster now for X number of years. They finally had their quarterback. He had time to shake the rust off. And I was tough on him, and I wasn't willing to accept anything less. Standing here today, seeing what they've accomplished, and where they sit, and we're 2 games back, and Baltimore could clinch the division this weekend if they win and we lose. But sitting at 9-5, and what I realize is that this team absolutely has the talent to win the division. My demand, my expectation, was right on target. The talent is there. Even with all the injuries and everything that's happened, we're sitting at 9-5 and 2 games back from the division. And it's not over yet. We still got that 2%. We still got that 2%. I think my biggest thing is we gotta play defense on the road, and isn't it great to control our own destiny? We're not waiting for this team to lose and that team to lose, and if this happens and that happens, we're in the driver's seat. We're in the driver's seat, and it's a great feeling, man. It's a great feeling.
Territory for us.
Yeah,
absolutely. Jake, we got about 25 seconds. What is a good season for you for the Browns?
I'll just make it short so that way we can cut it. Honestly, if nothing else happens, I am satisfied with what we've done already. If we lose every single game, I am satisfied with all the adversity that we faced and everything that we've done, and still have a 9-5 record. I've went through too much as a Browns fan to be unhappy. I am satisfied already.
Bam.
Yeah.
Guaranteed a winning season. That's for sure. Yeah, playoff berth would be great for me. That's all I want. I don't care if we lose by 40 in the first game of playoffs. As long as we get the playoffs and we can say we were there with all this adversity, that'd be awesome. Boys, great show. Fantastic.
Thanks,
Raj.
Raj.
Our preview show. Raj, thank you so much for stopping by. Wonderful guest. Everybody check out the Dog Chug later on, and everybody stay tuned. Please lock in to everything down with the Browns. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, and now officially Instagram. So
IG official.
Check at IG official. Make sure you're watching us and stay tuned in. And as always, go
Browns.